That's crazy.
Guess I'm
Oops.
glad I have one.
Whoa.
Yeah, the volume is.
That's better. All right, we will call the, let's see here, June 14th, 2022 Board of Public Works and Safety to order. Are there any adjustments to the agenda, Chris?
Nope.
Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Is there a request to, well, I think we have to separate these out.
Yeah.
So under item 4A, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Well, we got to
Oh, they're
separate.
even more
Yeah,
separated,
so
okay.
412 is Jason and I. So I'll make a motion for 412.
Motion by Jeff, second by Jason. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I will abstain.
And then it's you and I.
Yeah. And then a motion for the May 12th meeting minutes?
We can actually do 12 and 24.
12 and 24.
So I will make a motion for both 512 and 524.
And I will second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Jason abstains. And is there a motion to approve the accounts payable register?
Motion.
Motion by Jeff. Is there a second? Second by Jason. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on to our regular agenda items, we have a resolution to request and approve a release of a loan agreement, mortgage, and security agreement. Chris?
Yeah, for the record, Chris Greisel, City Attorney. Before you is a resolution releasing a loan agreement, mortgage and security agreement, and this has to deal with the potential sale of the Navient building. So in the late 80s, we entered into some financing that has long been paid off, but the documents have never been released. And so before they enter into any transactions, they requested that we clean up title for them. So this release before you has been reviewed and approved, and is mainly for them to clean up title and to move forward. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Chris? Seeing none, is there a motion? Motion by Jason, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Jeff, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on is a request to approve eminent domain settlement agreement with Huntington National Bank, sanitary sewer relocation.
For the record, Chris Greisel, City Attorney. So for our State Road 37 relocation, now that we are the proud owners of a new sewer utility out there, we are having to do relocation work for the mainline sewer. And this was taking place, this action before you was taking place before the transaction. Unfortunately, we weren't able to close it out, so we took the role of negotiating with the property owner, Huntington Bank, to acquire a portion of their property for purposes of the sewer relocation. And what wound up happening is that Huntington agreed to sell us the entire parcel at the corner of 141st Street and State Road 37.
Any questions for Chris? Seeing none, is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Jeff, is there a second? Second. Second by Jason, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on, we have a request to approve a purchase of 3 Chevy 2500 heavy duties.
Morning. Tabitha Miller, Director of Fleet, requesting the approval to purchase 3 Chevrolet 2500 for the Department of Public Works.
Tabitha, my understanding is that the price of these has gone up significantly? Is that
Significantly, $13,000 over the one I received a week ago. All municipal discounts are almost gone. Next year is going to be ugly. Not sure what the Ford police cruisers are going to be this year, let alone next year, and they don't open up until August. So
Is there any, no one has a crystal ball, but is there any strategy here about delaying purchases?
working on something, because I'm putting together next year's list, of course.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out what we can do, because we're also having, parts are going up, let alone the shortages. So when we've had a couple motors blow this year, and we've waited, 9, 12 weeks just to get the motor because supplies are not there. So we're getting into that area of downtime versus replacement.
Okay. It just seems like right now, when you have a gun to your head to go buy these, it's just, you're paying a ridiculous premium for, but no one knows whether that amount's gonna go down 2 months from now, or 2 years from now, or not go down, so.
Correct. There are some vendors, this reason I actually went to Louisville a month or so ago to get a vehicle, order one, because they were charging, locally they were charging a $7,000 premium for the privilege just to order a vehicle. They didn't even have it on the lot.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't know, I mean, I think it's a case-by-case basis on each vehicle or each piece of equipment, whether it needs to be delayed or,
Well, the prices are only going up. That's not gonna change on new vehicles. I know I was talking to several of our GM vendors, trying to extract information from them about next year. And the best that they would commit to me was somewhere between a 6 and 16% increase next year's cars too.
So it's a model year 24s, 23s, 24s.
Correct. And the way they're breaking up model years is getting very difficult to track also because, like, for instance, these trucks, if this particular vendor that won the bid didn't take it on blind faith and just go ahead and order them before I could give him approval to order them, we wouldn't get them. They already
Okay.
closed the order bank.
so what's the expected date of arrival for these?
6 months to 2 years, probably end of the year, first of next. Just depends on supplies. This is a national, well,
Yeah.
worldwide problem.
Right,
So you can't, based on that, we can't really, can't wait.
no. All right, well, I will, unfortunately make a motion to approve. Is there a second? Second by Jason, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next is request to approve purchase 2 Ford Escape hybrids.
Yes, they're actually a plug-in hybrid for the Department of Permitting and Inspections. New venture. I love the hybrids. They've done great for the police department. We have one standard hybrid for Todd Suchy, that is doing wonderfully for him. This is a plug-in hybrid, so it'll run up to 50 miles on solid electric, but you still have the fallback of the gas motor if needed during the hot months and very cold, because that drains, the capacity of a battery.
Are
Extreme
these
weather
for,
changes.
which department are these for?
These are for permitting and inspections.
Okay,
They were approved last year.
yeah.
It's just we happened to get into the plug-in hybrid.
And have we kind of planned out where we're gonna be plugging these in?
Nope.
Okay,
My facility can handle the electric. I have a meeting to get on the books with Eric and his team about getting a couple spots up here. We
Yeah.
do have a couple plugins in the switch garage that are open to the public that we could do. Just cart or horse is where we're at.
yeah. right.
Police department's, actively looking or testing vehicles also, which will be an extreme strain to the system. So
Right.
hopefully this rebuild brings us more power.
Okay, all right. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion by Jeff, is there a second? Second by Jason, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Tabitha. Next is a request to approve a BOT agreement in Phase 1 of the city's Arts and Municipal Complex.
I'll go ahead and take this, and Jordan can chime in with any other additional information. So for the record, Chris Greisel, City Attorney. So as this board knows, in August, we issued an RFPQ for City Hall for the reconstruction and rebuild of the new purchase, or of the new building construction, rather. And pursuant to the RFP, we had multiple people submit, and Meyer Najum Construction was the group that we went forward with and entered into a scoping agreement for portions of the design to get us to a place where we could go out and do a full BOT agreement. So before you today is the first phase of that, which consists of 3 major things: the steel package, the precast, and the geopiers. There's a couple other items that are included in that package: decking, ground reinforcement system, theater boxes, et cetera. And the reason why we're bringing this forward to you in a phase 1 is to keep the construction on schedule. We're still lining up for a full design to be completed in August, which would allow a construction schedule to hit in October. But 2, with market inflation, we're also securing prices on the steel, which has a big lead time. So the item before you has a maximum purchase price of $2.6 million. It's actually $2,633,000. And that's for the phase package that'll be before you. Like we've done with other public-private agreements, we'll bring subsequent phases before this board for the next installation of the bid packages that'll be brought. Consistent with the public-private statutes, we do have to have a public hearing on this to award Phase 1 to Meyer and Agem, and then I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Thanks, Chris. With that, we'll open up for a public hearing. Anyone who'd like to speak on this item, feel free to step forward, state your name, and express your comments. Seeing none, we will close the public hearing and entertain any questions from the board for Chris regarding the build, operate, transfer agreement with Meyer and Agem Phase 1. Any questions?
No.
Okay. Seeing none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Jason, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Jeff. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Our final item for the day is a resolution authorizing the city's use of Barrett Law for certain private roads. Jordan?
Hello, Jordan Alexander with Economic Development. So as you may be aware or recall, the city is seeking to bring in a handful of commercial private roads into our public road inventory, and that really comes after years of a lack of maintenance and upkeep of those roadways by the current owners and POAs that own those roadways. However, before bringing those into our road inventory, our engineering team had kind of identified a public standard that these roads should be brought up to before we accept those roads. So last year we had identified Barrett Law as a means to bring those roads up to that public standard and then also finance that improvement for the property owners that currently own that roadway. So today we're just giving you an update on this process. We have been engaging these kind of like Phase 1 priority roads. So on that resolution, the exhibit outlines those Phase 1 roads that we have been engaging property owners or are about to engage property owners. But again, today we just wanted to give you all an update that we have been actively engaging those and also allow the board to acknowledge that we're getting close to starting that Barrett Law process. So hopefully here in the near to mid future, you will see a preliminary resolution coming forward to, again, start that Barrett Law process for some of these priority roads.
And Jordan, just to clarify, the first couple roads that we anticipate moving forward with are?
Britton Park and Trade Center Drive, Publishers and Parkside we're engaging with, and then the Fishers Crossing area over here on Allisonville. And then the remainder of the roads on that exhibit we're about to make contact with.
Any questions for Jordan on this as we start to move forward? This will obviously become more prevalent in our discussions as a board, and the legislative process will, to some extent, run through this group. So is the public hearing on the Barrett laws, will that be through this board or the council?
It will be. It'll be through this board.
So
Can you explain the process and what it means and
Yeah.
what is responsibility of the current owners?
Jordan, you wanna tackle that?
Yeah, and then Chris can chime in on anything, but it starts with a preliminary resolution, which will outline the specs, maximum cost, affected property owners. There then is the notice for public hearing, a public hearing here where property owners can be heard on that, and then there's a remonstrance period for about 10 days, I believe, and then there's the confirmatory resolution that you all will approve, and then there's a short remonstrance after that confirmatory resolution. But once that confirmatory resolution is approved, the work can be bid and begin. Is there
I think
anything else?
that at its basic level, we're going to identify the costs associated, right?
Yeah.
And then distribute those costs appropriately based on people's proportionality to the road frontage or what have you. So if it costs $10 to fix a road, and there's 4 owners adjacent to that, and they all own an equal piece of it, we would divide it equally, right? $2.50 per person.
Right, and then they would pay for that over,
Over
because
30
we'd bond
years.
it.
Yeah,
and
we
they
would bond it, yep. And so we would work through the authorizing components here, but then the financial piece would still be with the city council. They would have to authorize the bond issuance, but
Right.
our work is to hear the residents out, go through the demonstration period at this board, and then if we button everything up, then the council still has the responsibility of financing this project.
But at the end of the day, it's their responsibility. It's almost like a sewer system.
Correct.
You have a time period to pay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the process will work very similar to that, Jason, where we'll actually have a lien right on the property. So once you go through the entire Barrett Law process, you have a final assessment. That assessment, the final roll, will be a lien on the property for them to be an interim obligation. So it'll run with the land, just like we've done with some of our sewer deals in like Forest Knoll and other places around the city.
It's like your neighbors to the east, what we did there with the sewers, but that was voluntary, so we just entered into agreements.
Yeah.
This is, would not require 100% of the people to agree to it, and therefore we go through this process, because if it reaches a certain proportionality that say yes, then we move, we're
Gotcha.
moving forward.
And then you mentioned a lien, so if the property sells, that lien automatically gets fulfilled.
Yes, not necessarily. So every time a home goes to refinance or there's a sale on one of these deals that we've done, the title agent will always come back to the city, and at that time they'll have two options. They'll either, the purchaser will agree to assume the obligation and continue to make monthly payments, or there'll be a complete release and a full satisfaction of whatever the outstanding amount is.
We've been pretty flexible on that point. It really becomes almost part of a deal term on the purchase or sale of the house.
So if we as a city or.
Yeah, so if the person coming in doesn't want to assume it and it's part of their deal, then they'll pay it off. But if they somehow negotiate that out and say, well, we'll just continue to pay that monthly payment, then we've typically allowed that to
Gotcha,
occur.
gotcha. All right, thank you.
Any other questions for Jordan?
Nope.
Seeing none, is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion by Jeff, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Jason, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Any additional items, Chris? Seeing none, is there a
Did we need to do any action on that note that you sent? There was a request about some parking. Is that? You know, you sent that letter that was sent to. Yeah, yeah. Okay, all right. Sorry, thank you.
What's that? Would you like to speak, sir?
Some public comment question.
Oh, sure. Come on up and feel free to, questions or comments, feel free to share them.
So my name is Kenneth Crowley. I live at 13871 Waycross Drive. I recently came home to find a 40-foot structure across the street from my house. It seems to be that it is from Verizon Wireless, a small 5G small cell tower. Permit number ROW-21-264 in Harrison Green. This was issued, and I guess my question to you is, without proper consent, is there the ability to be able to appeal a previously issued permit?
I don't know that, I would have to get into the details of that permit to find out if there was something that wasn't done correctly, to see if there's an appeal process. I don't know, Chris.
Not typically, and good to see you, Ken. I'll
Sure,
talk to
yeah,
you
good to see you,
offline.
Chris, yeah.
I'll talk to you offline here afterwards here, but in general, I know there's not. We have very limited regulation authority when it comes to 5G towers. In fact, our authority is pretty limited to trying to direct the cell service provider into going into preferential locations. We're actually preempted by federal and state law on a majority of it. So when this board takes action and they approve a permit, the small cell tower company has a vested right in that permit up until 2 years after they've constructed it. And then we have the ability to go back and revoke the permit if they haven't timely constructed a permit application.
Is there a way to verify some of that information for when the permit was issued and if it was legally
like
placed?
timelines of permits, yeah, I'm sure we could find stuff out for you.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess in closing, I've definitely sent you a couple emails there.
Yes.
And I just, it's very frustrating to come home to a surprise like that. And from my standpoint, it's difficult for me to get over it.
I understand.
It's literally across the street from my house. I have 2 young children, and it's just putting me in a position where it doesn't feel good to live there. As a taxpaying citizen, Fishers, if you came home to your house, no notice, had a giant structure outside of your house, less than 30 feet from your front door, there'd be a problem. And it just feels as if nobody wants to deal with my problem. So that's all I have.
Thank you. If there are no other comments, we will go ahead and adjourn. Is there a motion?